I don't know if you just were watching what we
Momma
were showing
K,
or
all right.
not, but if you were, do you want to take just a brief moment to respond to what Mr. Ricada just said about you? You're a lying bitch, apparently, and you're making things up, and you're projecting your trauma onto him, if you want to respond.
Okay. All I have to say about him accusing me of being a liar is when the body cam footage comes out, we'll see who the liar is. And I'm confident in that.
Okay.
So you think it will come out, eh? You still have hope on this?
I do. Josh, get it.
Let's go. Okay.
Well, I'll just start off from the beginning. What got you interested in this Ricada situation in the first place?
Yeah, it was because when I saw the story, it hit close to home, and it is literally close to home. And I got invested, and I was like, well, I'll just go check it out and see what it's like. And then from there, it just I got more and more invested.
Oh, wow.
So you're a local to the area. Are you a resident of Kandiyohi County, or are you a little bit further out?
A little further out. I'm not a native Minnesotan, though.
Oh, okay. How long have you lived in the state then?
I've lived in the state 3 different times. This time, 6 years.
Okay.
Did you watch
Nick from this?
I knew of Nick, but no, I was not a fan. The very first time I saw him, he irked my soul.
Whoa.
And I was like, I cannot stand this guy. Emily D. Baker, he had her on, and I went to his channel to watch her. And I was like, oh, I can't stand this guy. He's a scumbag.
Yeah.
And that was years ago. COVID.
Okay.
Well,
So-
would you say the Ricada
So immediately she knew something was wrong with him.
and the family situation as you know it is typical for Kandiyohi County or the area?
No.
Or is it normal or is it abnormal for their lifestyle?
Like,
From what I've experienced, it's abnormal.
No
Yeah.
swing.
that's funny. It's abnormal in any situation. In any place.
Like no multiple swinger houses around your area and
No, these are
sex barns.
No, these are humble, hardworking, salt of the earth type of people around here. They're different. They're different kind of people, but they're traditional.
Well, do you know, is there kind of a sense of how the community has reacted to this on the ground? Is it something that the local townspeople know about and will gossip about?
So I know the narrative out there is that everybody knows about this and they all hate him, but that is not my experience. Every time I am in Wilmer, I LARP as a investigative reporter, and I talk to anybody around me and ask them how they feel about this case, if they're familiar.
Really?
One person in the whole, I would say at least 30 to 40 people I've talked to in the past year, and one person was familiar with the original arrest, and that's it.
Because I was going to ask you, has local media taken a big interest in this case at all or been covering it? No.
No, and I feel like the people that, at the courthouse, I ask around how people feel. And the one metal detector guy, he did almost give me his opinion at one of the last hearings. And he's like, you don't want to know how I feel. And I was like, oh, yes, I do. Yeah, tell me. And he's like, on second thought, I think I can keep my thoughts to myself.
I think that says a lot about the area there, doesn't it?
Do you have any sort of idea why it's kind of like that? Why local media is covering it? Why people
maybe the local media doesn't really want to give it all that much attention. They think it's embarrassing, I'd imagine.
People kind of feel uncomfortable speaking out on it. Do you have any idea why that is?
I get the sense that people around here keep their gossip on the down low. I know it goes on, but they're not going to do it with outsiders. And I'm an outsider. And they don't just embrace people easily. I've had a hard time connecting with people around here because, I'm a California girl. So,
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
California.
Interesting. It
I
feels
hope
like a movie, like a mystery movie where the whole town's in on it. Because we were talking about the conspiracies and stuff with the judge and the cops. But
It feels like that, and it's strange. So there's a weird story about this last time I went in to see this footage. When I went in, everything seemed normal. When by the time I left, the lady Katie, who set up these appointments, she came to get me to say it was time to leave, and there was just I'm sensitive to like energy and like just the gauging the temperature.
Yeah.
And it had shifted. I couldn't put my finger on what. And when I went out, soon after I told Josh, I was like, some weird, they treated me different. Or I felt different leaving
So she reports to Joshua Connor Moon.
the energy. And then, just a second.
No worries.
problem.
Yeah. So
You
like the
take your
vibe was
time.
off. You take your time. Yeah. Vibe was off. They were being less friendly. Is that what I heard? Like
McKinsey. Yeah, it's nuts, right? You can't believe that nobody cares. You grew up where, okay, yeah. Maybe they just don't want to talk about it in public. Maybe it's something like that, Maybe it's kind of low key.
the woman was being less friendly than the last time you entered, right?
When I was leaving, she was fine on the way in. By the time I left, it changed. Well, then when I got to watch, I went to go see the updates before I even left town to see what the newest news was. I saw that. Do you know that stream where he got that bad news?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're all wondering, what is the bad news?
Yeah.
I was in the courthouse watching when that happened.
Oh.
That happened about the time I entered to go watch.
How do you think you found out?
There was a brand new guy. All the other times I go, there's a regular metal detector guy. There was a new metal detector guy that day.
So you think he may have like texted Ricada?
Possibly.
Oh, yo, this goes deep.
The conspiracy thickens. So let's bring it back a little bit earlier in the
So that's the bad news. Holy crap! What
timeline?
Yeah.
When did you first decide that you wanted to get involved? We've been calling it colloquially Josh's Angels. When was it you decided you wanted to be one of Josh's angels and view the body cam and all of this? And why?
I saw that Josh had put out the message he was looking for locals. And I reached out to a go-between and said, I'm willing to hear out what he's looking for.
dude? This
And then
is
when I
good
found out what he
stuff.
was looking for, I fit exactly. He wanted women. He wanted, I think people that would take this seriously and not as like jokes and just, to shit on him. It was, to actually seriously report on what we saw. And I was like, I think I fit that bill pretty well. I think this is kind of made for me.
Nice.
Now, I want to clear some things up. Ricada said Josh hired you. Did he offer you money? Was there monetary compensation involved?
None. I haven't received a penny since I started following this. Will didn't pay me before. And no, Josh, he did offer to pay gas money or whatever expenses I had.
Sure.
But
Nice.
I didn't take him up on that.
You turned that down. So there was
Wow.
no sort of financial benefit for you that would bias your testimony or anything
Holy
like that.
crap! So she's
Not
doing
at
this
all.
because she wants to.
I
There's a
wanted to
passion.
ask you, like, how do you feel about like the truth?
Wow.
Are you a religious person at all? Do you feel like you need to always be honest in all of your dealings and forthcoming? Because Ricada seems to attack your integrity. To me, you come across as a very normal, serious, and credible woman.
Thank you.
So I just wonder, like, I just want to make sure, that people are on the same page with that. Like, how do you feel about your relationship with the truth? Because we know Ricada has a very serious problem with telling the truth.
That's true.
Yeah, I am very particular about getting details right. It's important to me to get things right. And I was raised Christian. I'm considering myself more spiritual now. I have a relationship with God, and I believe in karma. So yeah,
that's
it's
good.
important. My integrity is important to me.
Oh, may I ask you a question here? When you were taking notes, were you allowed to take notes while watching, or did they make you take notes after and you have to remember everything?
While watching, and I
Okay.
actually, I
Whoa,
could
whoa,
pause
whoa, whoa, whoa!
and rewind,
Thank you for
but the other.
Well, thank you, McKinsey, for the 5 gifted members. Oh, you're so nice. You're so nice. You and Give Crack to Me are very nice. We're gonna get a lot of that, like 5 of them in a row.
Other girl couldn't because
Okay.
of time constraints.
Okay.
I could, but every time I did, not every single time, but the majority of the times I did, it would cause technical issues where it would fail to play, and I would have to start it all over, readjust the sound, and get it back to the right timestamp. So I tried not to as much as possible.
Okay.
Now, Ricada claims that you unlawfully viewed this footage. Can you walk us through the process of how you were able to view the footage? Did you break in under cover of darkness and tie up the clerks and security guards? Or was there some sort of actual formal legal process that you went through to view this footage?
No, I ninja'd my way in there.
Yeah, you broke into the ceiling fucking window.
Yeah,
She's a freaking ninja.
I made an appointment with the lady who coordinates it, and set an appointment and went in at the right time. And there was a lot of there was a trial that was going on. So there was 5 or 6 days in between the first time I was able to go in and the second time I was able to go in. So yeah, because it was using the jury room.
Okay.
And they were accommodating to you. They were polite and professional and courteous, right?
Yeah.
And the vibe only changed, as you said, on that last day. Something changed. Something caused the vibes and the energy to shift. And then you were not allowed to view the footage any longer.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, right, huh? That is so wild. Is the town really in on it? What's going on with that, But, okay, one thing I want to say, she strikes me as someone, I don't know anything about her, but before she got roped into this, it strikes me as someone who would be, very active on Facebook, trying to solve, like murder mysteries, whatever. There's whole communities that do that stuff, it's beyond, true crime. It's like a Facebook, Facebook detectives, if you will. Sometimes they'll find things before anyone else. Okay. Anyway,
interesting. That's very strange and weird. as
Ricada
would say, yeah.
How did you personally find out you were no longer allowed to view the body cam?
I think from Josh. I guess she emailed me. I missed that email. I found it today, actually. That she had emailed me and said I wouldn't be able to come back in. But from the other one.
I have to ask you this too, because this was we were told that the last time the footage was attempted to be opened, there was some sort of data error, it just wouldn't work, it wouldn't open.
That's strange.
There was error, whatever popped up on the screen. Do you think they destroyed the footage? This is what the theory is going on around.
No, I think that got skewed a little. It was probably in reference to the technical issues of rewinding, and the other lady who went in, she also
something wrong.
She
with
wasn't
this
pausing
town.
and rewinding at all, and she got an error come up too. So
okay, so it was in reference to that. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Did you find it difficult to orient yourself? Was it difficult to kind of see certain details? What was the resolution like, and the sound like, and everything like that?
Now the sound was hard. I think they have blown speakers in there and it would start out at 100%, which when I get it down, I need it at 6 to 8% for it to be the right. So, and the first time I went in, I had to listen to it for 20 minutes at that 100% volume. And it was crazy. And I think it blew the speakers. And so it made the sound hard. Watching the footage itself, it is so hard to focus because there's just so much to take in with the activity of all the different cops. And then just all of the clutter and mess and everything in there. It's very disorienting.
How about the pixel resolution? Was it 720p? Would you say like a blurry style? If you were to
was
compare
it standard
the footage,
definition? What would you say?
Yeah,
what would you say the quality
the
was?
footage is? Yeah.
I'm not a great judge of that.
Was it clear? Was it clear?
Let me put it to you this way: Did it look like a VHS? Did it look like a DVD? Or did it look like a Blu-ray?
Or security footage, which is the worst, right?
I would say somewhere between VHS and DVD.
Okay. So a bit better.
It wasn't the highest possible quality, but it was still pretty easy to determine what was what, you would say?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Good.
Now,
good.
I want to focus on... Actually, you know what? Before we go into what
These are good
Ricada's been
questions.
putting out and stuff like that, I wanted to ask you, you were visiting the courthouse during this trial, right?
I went to every hearing, including Kayla's.
Is there anything you want to tell us, any stories you'd like to relay, or things that people might find interesting from when you were at the courthouse?
Well, I told on Will Heron's channel about one of the hearings where I went, and on my interviews with Will kept trying to I'd say kind of pressure me into talking to Nick. And I kept saying, I have no interest in talking to Nick. I made it very clear. I just had no interest in it.
Mhm.
And then I went in the one time and I was sitting there on the bench and they, in the hallway, and they came in and he came right over to me and sat like right next to me, like really close to me. And it's like, can we talk? It's like, I guess.
Really?
Did you feel like he
Wow.
was trying to intimidate you in
Probably,
some
huh?
way or threaten you in some way? What was the vibe or the aura that he was giving off to you?
Manipulative. It felt like he was trying to
Yes.
butter me up and
Absolutely.
get me on his side.
That's not surprising. What did he say to you?
Probably called her fat.
It's hard to remember exactly, but he was saying, I just want to assure you that, my I know your history. He said, because I shared a little on Will Heron's channel of my childhood.
Okay.
And he said, I know your history. I want to assure you that is not the case with my family. We like to party, we like to have fun, but, there was no abuse going on. And it was just,
Okay.
some partying that we got caught up in.
Did you mention to him his 9-year-old daughter's positive test for cocaine or?
I don't remember exactly. So I had like a physical reaction in like my body reacted. My brain was like, I was fine to sit there and talk, but my body started shaking. I was
Wow.
really shaking, trembling, shaking. And
Dang.
My body wanted to run while my brain was like, stay here and engage.
Well, do you think it's appropriate for this man to go up to I don't know your story, but if this is the case that you had childhood traumatic events, is it appropriate for him to just come up to you and start talking to you about traumatic events?
Is it
And be
appropriate?
like, hey, this is,
I think, I made it so clear on Will's channel that I had no interest in that. So no, I don't think it was appropriate. He knew that was not something I wanted.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't appreciate it.
certainly not.
This is really
Is
all.
it
It's creepy.
really?
These are really good questions. PvP is doing a really good job here. I know I give the Kino Casino some shade here and there, whatever, but PvP is doing a good job here. Yeah. So there's no room to interject on anything or really add anything.
Be fucking slimy and creepy from him. And for what? What do you think his end goal was in terms of coming up to you like that and talking to you about that?
I think it was the equivalent of his shower calls in person.
Yeah.
For those of the audience who aren't
The shower calls. Yeah. It was to manipulate her. It was to try to, poison the well.
familiar, do you want to just briefly describe what the shower calls are? Because some people may not be familiar. I'm sure a lot of our audience is, but we have probably some newer viewers that may not be familiar.
I'm only vaguely familiar with, I guess he has a history of calling people and messaging people from the shower and trying to manipulate.
Yeah, that's one way to put it. That's one way to put it for sure. So that was your one and only direct interaction with Nick Rekieta, right?
Well, no.
Oh, okay.
Before, that is, you reminded me. Okay, so yeah, one of the hearings before he came up to me, after the hearing was over, as I was going to leave, he made a beeline for the door and he just like took off. And it was winter outside, so I had to stop and get my coat on and made my way outside. And as I got back down to the metal detector area, I saw he was standing outside facing the door. Mm-hmm. And so I go to walk out and I kind of hesitated to the side and I saw he had his phone up like this, but he's like looking off like this, but like, so I was like, he's fucking recording me. But there's no other way to exit. So I had to go out. So I went out and I confronted him on the way out. I was like, are you recording me?
And what did he say? Did he
him.
shit a brick? Was he super defensive? What was his reaction to that?
He seemed taken off guard that I actually addressed him. And he stopped. He's like, I don't remember if he's denied it or said yes, but he stopped recording and he put his head down and started heading back into the courthouse.
Yeah, Mackenzie, the shower calls. Yeah, Ricada would be in a shower. He has a pretty big shower, okay? And while the shower's there, he had the phone on, okay? And he would be recording and streaming from the shower. And he'll try to call Noel of Kiwi Farms while in the shower. It is so wild. Okay?
Oh, it sounds like he was scared of confrontation with a woman. Wouldn't be the first time with Ricada. Wouldn't be the first time. So those were your interactions with him at the courthouse. What else? Yeah, go ahead.
I get mother hen vibes from her.
There was a little
Mother hen
conversation that happened
vibes.
after that. After he put his phone down, he was heading back in. I cannot remember what
Protective.
was said next. But then he came back with like, well, who are you? And that's when I said, I'm a concerned citizen.
Like, okay. This, like, I just want to add this. The vibes I get from her, like, if she shows up at your door and she has like a CPS badge, oh, dude, it is over. If she shows up, like if she's involved in anything you're doing, especially like your legal affairs or whatever, oh, it's over. like she's gonna know your secrets before the can't speak. I'm stuttering. Before the detectives find out. Oh, I was pulling in Andy. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think we covered this on the program.
Momma K is
like
great.
A third-hand account of that.
Yeah.
What was his reaction to you telling him you were just a concerned citizen?
He like snarled at me. You're no concerned citizen.
Right. Like, but you obviously are.
Yeah.
You
no,
know?
definitely, exactly.
I don't understand what this guy's attitude is. Why do you think he reacts like that and acts like that?
I think he's never had to face consequences in his life. I think he's always got his way his whole life. And yeah, he's not used to having to, I don't know. He's not used to taking accountability or being
Obviously,
even confronted about anything.
Or I always feel with Nick, right? It's always like if you tell him he's doing something wrong, he can't ever own up to it and go, you know what? I screwed up. I'm sorry. It's always the most resistance, and it makes people more pissed off. If when he was caught, he had gone, listen, I screwed up my life. I was on drugs. I'm going to do rehab.
Exactly.
So sorry. Took a few months off, came back clean, and went super remorseful.
Yes.
He'd probably retain a big chunk of his audience. But because
Yes. If you just owned up to it, it would have been a lot better.
he's so resistant, it's always this just like, I hate you, Nick. Like, you're so annoying. Like, and he lies about everything. There's no truthfulness. Ridiculous.
Where I'm at with it
We all
now
knew
is,
he was partying.
why doesn't he just shut up about it?
Exactly.
That's what I don't understand. And because he won't shut up about it, I imagine that plays a big role in why.
Well, I mean, shutting up about it would be better, sure. But I think Andy Warski has a better point there. If it were just be like, guys, because the information was already out. He was already going to talk about it. Instead of lying about it, he should have just been like, look, this is what I did. Yeah, I did it. I did the thing. You know?
You're on the show today. Is that true or no?
It's all of it. Yeah, if he would have done what Andy said, I would have never gone to see the body cam footage because I'm like, okay, he learned his lesson. He's changed his ways. He's doing better. Like, I'm going to stay out of this. But the way he's acting and the way he's unrepentant, and it's obvious he hasn't changed a bit. And yeah, that makes me want to still.
Oh, Manu wasn't
intervene
gifted a sub. I'm sorry,
say,
Manu.
At least speak up on behalf of the kids. I want to be an advocate for them. Be an advocate that I didn't have in my life.
Yeah.
And that's a very noble intention that you have there. I want to go back. So you've seen Ricada in the flesh. Most of us have only ever seen him through the computer screen or whatever.
I've seen him in person once at Anime Matsuri. I was there actually to react to a Japanese band. I didn't even really care about anime at that point, and still really I kind of lost interest. Man, I'm 42 years old, you know. But yeah, kind of weird. He's a lot taller than I thought, but kind of weird vibes, you know.
Did he look to you when you saw him as like a drug user? Does he look as cracked out in person as he does online? Is it worse, or did he look healthy at that time when he was going through the court process?
No, he usually
Definitely shout out to Kino.
He looked like
Kino Casino, yeah.
He looked like he does, only with a suit on. So
right.
Yeah.
So he looked like a cracked out skeletal ghoul.
Yeah.
Was there any particular odor to him? Did you smell booze on him or BO?
What happened? Why did it freeze? Why did it freeze? They're still streaming. Do I have to refresh it?
Ricada Nitro Circus for 10.
Manipulate.
It was about 120.
Yeah. First time. So those were your interactions with him at the courthouse. What else? Yeah, go ahead.
We did. There was a little conversation that happened after that. After he put his phone down, he was heading back in. I cannot remember what was said
I
next.
think 120.
But then he came back with like, "Well, who are you?" And
because we're trying
There
to
you go.
get to the truth of the matter. Is there anything else, any other details from the court? Like, was April there regularly? Was she only there once or twice? What was her relationship like with Nick in the courtroom that you saw?
well, I'll go back first. The omnibus. Ethan Ralph was there, so I got to meet Ethan Ralph too. Well, not meet him, but was right near
And,
him.
and how was that?
How did that go?
Interesting.
That's one way to put it. Yeah, it's Ethan Ralph. Give it, what was he acting like?
How
What
did he
did you
smell?
observe, Ralph? Like, what? So petty.
A prestigious reporter.
You know what? That was the very first hearing I went to, and I didn't know what to expect. And I went, and a lot of people showed up to that one. I came up the stairs, and you turn right to go down the hallway. And right as I turned right, Ethan was the first person I saw, and he was looking at a bulletin board.
Jump
And
scare.
He literally looked me up and down, like me up, like it was so obvious.
Do you think he was perving on you? Is what you're saying?
I didn't know. I think he was trying to get.
He was
I
gonna
was
make a
TV
move.
Farmer, a reporter, what I was there for. Like, who I
No.
was.
Is he
What-
5'1"? He's 5'1",
How
you say, right?
tall was he?
Yeah, thank you.
Be objective here, guys. This is not what you want to hear.
He
I
was
think
5'4".
I think he's closer to 5'5", 5'6".
There,
5'5",
okay.
yep,
There
that's
it is.
That's what I told you all.
5'5". See?
Yep.
That's totally. She
He's
could have said
5'5", he's not
5'1".
5'1".
This is an honest woman who told us he's still short, but he's 5'5". Give him a little couple extra inches there.
A little bit taller than the
People are
Mexican.
like, she's lying. This
But-
is incredible.
I'll say two things real quick. Our chat loves you, first of all. And secondly, I've worked with many people online over the years. You're the first person to be like the first time ever on Discord where it works initially.
I know.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Because I was like, oh, please don't be this blurry, like ear, like destruction, you know, like anyway. So thank you for that. But go ahead, Ashton.
Yeah. So anything else about Ralph? I think I was asking about April to begin with.
Yeah. April, she didn't go to most of the hearings, but after the omnibus, that was the first one. She showed up outside after the hearing, and when Nick and
For comfort, for
Kayla and the
support.
lawyers were standing around outside, she went up and joined them outside. Then there was that hearing, the hearing that he confronted me. After he confronted me, I went across the street and waited for him. And you know the picture where he has his arms crossed and he's like looking over his shoulder.
Yes. Yes.
I took that.
Oh, you took that one.
that was
Okay.
Good work.
Okay, nice.
He's a better journalist than the local media on the ground.
Yeah.
That is
Oh,
true.
Can I ask you about the kids and Kayla? Did you see Kayla? Was she there?
Yeah, she's been
Okay,
at all
so
of
what
them.
did she look like? Like, did you get a vibe? Because when I saw the pictures, she looked like she was dying. Right? Is that how you?
As it progressed, as the hearings progressed, she started looking better.
Okay.
Wait,
Oh,
and
because they weren't
I
doing
mean,
the drugs
she
anymore.
still looks stressed and she looks broken. Honestly, she really seems like her spirit is just broken. It's sad. It makes it. She comes across sympathetic. I am very empathetic. I know she doesn't deserve it for allowing this to happen, but I can't help myself to
But
feel
she
a little
did.
sympathy for her because she seems like a wounded animal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, very sad situation to where you have a mother who
couldn't stand up for
allowing
herself
children
and
to
for her
miss
kids.
meals and have stinking clothes, and you just have to wonder what the root cause of that is. What sort of trauma she went through? You know, whether it's Ricada abusing her, whether it's him stepping out on the marriage, whether it's a combination of these things. How she got into the drug, because when you look at her in those mug shots, right? It's obvious she was also partaking in the drugs.
Oh
right?
yeah.
And so it's just, do you have a theory on how she got there, or do you don't really know anything beyond what we know?
Ricada brought
would-
into the house.
I think to live with a man like Nick and the way he manipulates and the way he is so harsh and critical, and I just feel like she's probably been beaten down and just her self-esteem, like crushed into the ground. And even the accounts of hearing that she initiated things and stuff, I don't believe that. Maybe she thinks it was her idea. Maybe he manipulated her into thinking it was her idea, but I just don't. I don't think so.
I don't know of many women that are like, let's open our marriage with 5 kids 20 years in. Like,
It's
It's
insane.
not. It's pretty crazy, right? Let's all start doing cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad thing, but it's also something she did, and it's something that happened because of her inability to like stand up for herself. And I mean, we can make excuses all day, you know, but it's sad. But she played a part in it.
And ketamine on the daily. It's hard for me to believe that the idea originated with her, but we are just speculating. It's hard to really know. And Ricada is a very unreliable narrator, to say the least.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think he's still doing whippets and other drugs or anything like that?
Yeah, exactly, Manu.
You've seen the clip
And
I'm assuming,
McKinsey,
of, like,
yeah,
the
for sure.
recent, accusations.
It's hard to feel
where
sorry
he's on
for her.
camera, comes back, and his voice sounds like this, and it's clearly about like whippets and stuff. And like, do you believe he's still using or what? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, at least those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced that's what he was doing.
I have a question actually about sort of like the video itself. Now we read the notes and we saw everything. It was crazy. Could I ask you, when you were watching, were you like in shock? Were you okay? Have you watched other body cams? I'm assuming you have online, true crime stuff. Did it compare to a lot of the crazy stories you'd see on like Jim Can't Swim or something like that when they're walking into the house? Like, what was your feeling when you saw the house? And like, what was happening? Were you like, what the hell? Or were you just calm and relaxed or nervous?
It was heavy, and yeah, and I'm pretty empathetic. I put myself in those kids' shoes. It's very easy for me to put myself in their shoes, since I lived a similar experience. Not the wealth, of course, but the environment. And so, yeah, it was heavy for me, and it brought up a lot of old stuff.
Oh yeah.
This is about the time where I would ask her, okay, can you narrate for us what it is you saw play by play?
And the kids were on the wall, remember? Like the kids were leaning on the wall. Was that like the most horrific sight? I'm assuming when I was listening to Ashton read that part, that got to me a little bit. You know what I mean? The kids leaning on the wall, Ricada. Yeah, but how was
the
that
one
scene?
child holding the cat for comfort, right?
Yeah, I just saw her pick it up on their way out. But yeah, well, the worst part for me was them talking to her through the door, trying to get her to open that door. And they even stopped. And on the radio, they radioed the other officer that had Nick pulled over and told him that they were going to break down. Something popped up.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
fine.
Yep.
They told him that they asked him for the code. He refused. They said, we're going to bust in the door if you don't give us the code. And he still refused. So
Did he know his daughter was on the other side of the door?
Oh, well, he
I
must
don't
have.
know. I don't know if he knew that, but obviously,
But
it's obvious.
at that point, right, he had already been served the warrant, right?
He didn't, I heard on there, them talking, they didn't have the warrant at his stop, and he had to come back to the house to see the warrant, but they told him of it, and
It wouldn't
So they
matter if
told
he
him
saw it
there was a
anyway.
warrant, and so they were going to get in anyway. And he chose, out of pride, to allow the door to be busted
Be like,
in,
what's your due process?
causing
Or
trauma
no
to
probable
whoever
cause.
witnessed that, right?
yeah. Yep.
Didn't have to go
8-year-old.
down that way.
The same one that tested positive was the one who was behind that door.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
She was in on it. I'm just kidding. Okay, may I ask you a
What
very
a
important question?
fucking disaster. Go ahead.
Fucking disaster. Very important question. So, Ricada recently has said that seeing the night table from the hallway when you enter the door. Now, what we were told on the on the sheets, on the recaps of the body cam footage, is that you could see on the night table. He's saying that's physically impossible, and there's a wall blocking that. So, could you just explain what you saw from the hallway into the bedroom and what you saw as in terms of like the
Or
coke?
maybe there was some sort of a mix-up and it was lost in translation. What was the situation with that?
Again, I'm going to be objective here and tell you how my recollection. It does differ a little from her report.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not, disputing her credibility, because it's so easy to be disoriented with all the stuff.
Okay.
So how I remember it is you walk in the door, there's a little distance to like the kitchen area. Then when you turn to the left, you can see down the hall. Now you could see, once you get down the hall a little bit, you could see into the room. But no matter what, those kids, there's rooms in the back. I guess some kids' rooms are downstairs or something, but there are some rooms past their door. And you could see it from the doorway and part of the hallway, and they'd have to go back and forth past that door all the time.
So you would
Regularly.
say if the kids were walking around, doors open, they could see it.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
100%.
Is there anything anyone else said in the other
Sounds
reports
pretty
that you think were
open and
exaggerated or
accessible to
lied?
me.
Or
No,
just incorrect.
Yeah.
You
No,
know, they
I-
might have made a mistake.
I'm sorry.
Well, Andy may not be sober. I don't know about that one. You know, I always say Andy laughs like he's hitting the reefer. You know, if he's not, then I'll be surprised, dude. Sometimes watching Kino Casino, I feel like I'm watching Half Baked. You know.
Go ahead.
There was a part that I didn't see. The second time I went in, I got to see, I think, about 30 minutes of the second cam, and I never have submitted my notes on that. I've never transcribed them, or I haven't really had time. But there was one part I didn't see. Not saying it didn't happen. I just, like I said, so much going on. I was probably focusing on something else at that moment of the video. I didn't see them swab the pillow. Again, not saying it didn't happen. I just missed that part. And also, I could have had a technical error at that part. And when I put it back to that timestamp, I could have accidentally skipped that part. So.
Okay.
But that's very accurate.
So let's go into some of the claims that Ricada has been making. So Ricada's released all of these pictures. Do you believe that the pictures were from the day of the raid? Was it like a mixture of some that were from the day of the raid and some that weren't?
I'm 100% sure that most of them were not from that day.
Okay.
No doubt.
Really?
Okay. So do you think, like, how much later in the process do you think? But it certainly wasn't from that day.
Yeah,
Definitely not from that day.
voice.
Okay.
They could
The
use
one
my
with the drugs
voice.
on the toilet was from that day. Even the one that he pulled the metadata from, I don't think it's from that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Based on what you've seen from the body cam, you're saying there's no way that those photographs, the vast majority of them, were from that day.
Which I've seen some of those photos, and even those photos that Nick Rekieta tried to show off as like that's how bad his house was. Like even then, it still looked pretty bad.
Now we're gonna go through with you
Yes.
these photographs that Ricada has shared, and you can tell us individually on each of them how it compared to what you saw on the body cam.
That's
now,
great.
A lot of people DM'd me asking for you to grade these photographs on the basis of something called the hoarder scale, and let us know how bad.
Oh man, we got
was,
11 likes.
or the rooms were rather. So if we go
I'm gonna do a share on the Ricada's dirty house.
Am I taking a shot or what?
Yeah,
I'm gonna look at the order scale real quick.
Yeah, so just pull up this hoarder scale for her. And we have here 3 different exemplars for a bedroom, a living room, and a kitchen. And we can see on a scale from 1 to 9 how bad it can be. And then we're going to rate the various body cam rooms on this scale from 1 to 9. And we'll note any discrepancies
10?
between the photos that Ricada has posted and what you saw on the
Oh, I
body
guess
cam.
in chat, I guess it's
have
easier.
fun. You're in chat. Well, I want to see
So
your
if you can pull up, for the audience, like the first one here, which I believe is bedroom.
Just resizing the OBS one.
And then Momma K, you should be able to see this in the share window and be able to commentate live along with us.
So yeah, you'll see.
I'll consider it. They made it so easy.
I'm sharing the window there.
Just
Do
1
you
to
see
9.
that? Just click on that and hit view stream, and then that will work.
I don't see it.
I'll play with this game too.
On the phone. Okay.
We can all play.
You're on mobile?
Yeah, she's on mobile. So
let me see what it looks like on mobile.
Yep.
Okay, so you should see like a
Where's that
screen.
watch?
Yes. Beside my name there. Beside my name.
Got it.
Cool. Amazing.
Okay.
Wow. Very quick. Let's go.
Wow,
All
this
right.
has been pretty quick and painless.
Yeah,
You're doing
it
great.
actually has been. So here is the hoarder scale for
The
bedroom.
clutter image rating scale for bedroom. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Just asking you off the top of your head as you're looking at this, the room in question that's most scandalous, most deviant, most would say is the master bedroom. On this scale, compared to what you saw on the body cam, what would you have rated the master bedroom?
I would say maybe a 4.
About a 4.
4.
So let's zoom in.
Wait. Actually, give me 1 second. Could you just 1 second? I'm gonna make a thing so we can all see it like this. 1 sec, folks. Alrighty. If you want to just say something, is there any super chats with questions?
I'll say this: that Andy is kind of quick to to reformat the OBS layout. He's good at that.
Ashton, you can ask real quick
Yeah,
while I'm
I'll
setting up
have
the new
While
scene here.
possibly stoned.
Just so the audience can see a better look at the hoarder scale. It's a bit small.
Okay, let me make sure.
Yeah, if you have questions,
Okay.
guys, you can donate.
We have Ricada Nitro Circus for $10 asks. Question for Momma K. Do you
But I
know
think
if
he's sober
Ricada is
right
being
now.
investigated for anything else? There are local rumors that Nick has been abusive to the family, allegedly.
I have no idea.
Okay, you have no idea about that. Junior Bacon Sneedburger for 5 asks, what skeeved you out about Nick years ago? He only went off the rails in the last couple years.
I don't know. I just had this, there was just something about him. I was like, oh, I cannot stand this guy. I didn't want to watch him.
Okay.
And I avoided him.
All right, and new scene is done. There we go. Now we can zoom in for the audience to see. You said a 4?
So let's
Yeah,
zoom in.
Still bad.
4 is still pretty bad. That was the master bedroom.
Dude, a 4. Oh man, a 4 is like my daughter's room. And like it's really, really bad. It's like it'd be like, oh my god, we gotta clean this up. Like, no, you're grounded.
Now
It might be a 5.
it might be a 5. So between 4 and 5 on this scale is what the master bedroom looked like to you. Okay.
I'm messaging the other lady. She says a 5.
She
She's
says
saying
a 5.
So you would say there's like chairs and like shit on the floor. Okay, how much of the floor percentage-wise could you see? Would you say?
Well, on the body cam, they're not really focused on the floor that often, unless
Okay.
or what.
Okay.
Now, was there just clothes or was there trash mixed in with it as well?
You know, it's like I would say clothes and just stuff.
Just
all
stuff,
all
clutter,
starts
huh?
blending together when it's all that stuff. You know, it just
There's just
can't
so
make
much
out.
stuff. You
Yeah.
can't even make out individual items because it's such a hoard of filth. Is that
Yeah,
how you?
all blends together. It's just like
Are
Is
they
it
going to
like a
show
mix of
the?
children's toys?
Are they going to
that
show
kind of
Ricada's images?
composes a lot of it, and then
In some places.
clothes. Okay. Let's have a look here. Let's go to the next set of clutter scale ratings.
Okay.
This would be for a kitchen. What would you say the Ricada kitchen rated at on this clutter image rating scale?
I'm gonna pull it up on my phone to see if I can see better.
Yep.
Because that, even at the best of times, was kind of a sty. Even in his local streams and stuff like that, there were dishes that were piled up all the time and
Oh my
liquor
God, that's
containers
horrible.
and stuff like that.
Like, even if it's a 4, that's crazy.
Like, even at the level of 4 or 5,
Man, back when I used to do CPS investigations, like a 4, if I saw a kitchen that was at a 4, oh, it is like you got a no, I'm not no. I'm telling you, you got to clean this. Like, this is ridiculous. Clean this up. This is a mess here. Okay? you know, it's like, I mean, like, this environment is messy, and I will take the time to describe. Oh man, I can't. We have to refresh this. Okay,
Makes sense. If
I
there's
can't
kids
pause
running
it. I can't
around
pause
throwing
the
shit, right?
stream.
We want to be as honest here as possible.
Yeah.
Here, if you click my camera,
I did for 7 years.
I'm showing the OBS screen. Here, I'm gonna zoom into 4 here. So you can see my
Don't wanna do that
camera
again.
on the left side there.
But I got
on the
paid more
screen.
doing that
You'll
than what I
see
do
a
now.
more zoomed in shot of 4.
Yeah, it's again between 4 and 5. And
What?
the other lady
really?
said a 5.
Yeah.
A 5?
Then,
out
uh,
of 5.
okay.
on
then
the
Minnesota
clutter image
CPS
rating.
had a field day.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty important.
5.
Oh no. Oh
Andy,
no.
can you pull up that AI that I tried to do of his kitchen?
Yes,
Yeah.
sure. Let me grab
I'll take
that
this shot.
1 sec. Let me. So
Thanks
she
for the
sent
10
me,
likes, guys.
You know, like an AI. You know, we all like AI to imagine stuff here. Hang on, let me grab that. So I got so many like DMs.
It's
There are people
tequila.
since you've been
I
on the
know.
show for the last hour have been DMing, wanting to also hop on and expose. It's crazy, like what's happening. If I was sort of in my own world there, trying to figure out, what's real, what's not. Hang on, let me.
Ooh, that was rough.
Let's save this here, Ash. I'm gonna open it and put it over on the Flip this. Sorry, Twitter does this stupid image thing. Snip tool. There we go. And okay, Ashton, just look at the replay or the camera.
Yeah.
This is what she sent me.
Now
let me show you all. There you go.
It's actually worse than that in that there's stuff in front of the liquor bottle and dishes and more clothes on the floor than what that image shows.
So there's even more clothes than that.
Yes. And
God,
like I
that's
said,
horrible.
dirty dishes and things in front of the liquor bottles. Maybe a little less papers
This
on
is
the,
like what,
on
an
the
AI
island,
recreation?
but other than that, it's more stuff.
How about the floor itself? The pieces of the floor you did see, was it like swept or mopped, or was it dusty and food stains? Like, what would you say?
I couldn't tell.
Okay. You couldn't tell. Fair enough.
Hey,
Okay,
no,
fair
she is
enough.
objective.
All right, let's go to our final clutter image rating scale before we start assessing the individual photographs
Okay.
that Ricada put on. So here we have the living room.
Very
so from
thorough.
1
You know,
to
they get on a
9,
baseline
where
here.
would you place the living room? Four.
Oh, that image
At
was
least
AI.
a 5.
I think it was
At
supposed to be like
least
an
a
AI
5?
recreation.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at 6.
You said it was.
Yeah.
You'd say it's almost that bad? Surely not.
No.
How do you
5.
navigate that?
You would
solid
say around 5.
The
Between 5 and
picture-
6.
Ash, right, the picture he showed, what would you say? Is a 3? The one he showed.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
2
I would
or
That's
say
like,
three.
what are the
he
parents
showed.
doing?
And it was
Oh, that's
worse than
right.
that. For sure.
They're banging each other's wives and they're doing blow.
Wow.
Shame on them.
That's
Shame on them.
crazy.
But you have, at one time, 4
kids
able-bodied
are
adults,
doing
5
nothing, man.
children, 9 people in the house, and nobody can clean? Really? Like, what is going on?
Well, when it gets that bad, I mean, I have lived in a house
We
like
give
that.
up.
It's overwhelming. You don't know where to start, and you go into depression.
That
and
is true. I've
yeah,
seen
you
that.
have to learn how to just not see it.
Yeah.
You just for kids, you just have to adapt to it, and it becomes normal.
When
That
you've
does
been
in a way.
raised in it, and
Kinda
it might
worked,
be
but
the
yeah.
only thing you know, right? And
Yeah.
so a lot of Ricada's defenders have tried to push the responsibility onto the children. Like, I remember Ethan Van Sciver and even Doug TenNapel, creator of Earthworm Jim, when he was on our
Good
show,
game, but
tried to say that
you
this
know.
is the kids' fault, that it was a
guy's kind of
sty,
weird.
and that it was It's disgusting, isn't it?
Oh, pisses
Yeah,
me off.
McKinsey, they're
Because
doing drugs.
ultimately, the responsibility lies with the parents to raise the children to understand that this is unacceptable. And it just goes to show, like, what sort of standards as a parent are Nick and Kayla instilling into their children that they thought that this was normal.
Right. And that
Those
speaks to
standards, man.
also them how calm they were during the bust. Him bragging that they were so calm. How does he not get that is not normal? They should have been.
He's a Van Ralph.
They-
Yeah, they're the
It
same
means
guy to
that
me.
they're exposed to traumatic stuff all the time.
They're
like-
desensitized to abnormal. Yeah.
Well,
it's
well,
not.
they're doing
Oh.
orgies and drugs all night. Like, this
Yep.
is just like, like another day just hearing that stuff. And I want to actually ask you, because one of the biggest, things that the sweepers and defenders of Nick say is, well, he had 5 kids. And of course the house will be a mess when you have 5 kids. Would you say that the mess that you saw on the body cam is equal to just having kids running around playing with toys and making a mess?
No. Now,
Yeah,
it was
you can have a clean
strange
home
that
with 9 kids.
the bathrooms were cleaner than the rest of the house. And there was the kids' bathroom downstairs that had what I would consider a normal amount of kid mess in it. You know, a lived in, this is a kid's bathroom, and I would have been like, you know, shrug it off that, yeah, that's a kid's bathroom.
No.
But
I'd be like, pick that up.
It was
Pick
weird
that up,
that
kids.
they weren't clean by, you know, the other bathrooms weren't clean by like most standards, but clean compared to the rest of the house.
Okay.
Okay, so there we have an idea on the clutter scale. Let's go through these individual images.
Oh,
All right, guys, we're
and
going to
you
rate them
can
together.
Tell us which ones you think were from the day of and which ones were certainly not. So this here is his image of the kitchen. Would you say that this was taken the day of the body cam footage or later on?
I would say 85-90% sure that is later.
That's later?
You're telling me it was even filthier than this?
Yeah.
That looks like
yeah.
That looks like a pigsty right there.
Can I ask your opinion? Do you think it's wise to share a photograph like this?
That's a flat out
Do you
9 to
think
me.
It strengthens his case that the house was clean or weakens it?
Oh, obviously weakens it. And two, what is he going to do if it does come out? I mean, he's sitting there swearing this is from that day, and he's going to be
I think one
exposed
kid was
as a
like
liar,
16, yeah.
way more than he already has. And I don't
Hey,
know what
You're 16, your parents are doing that
You're
stuff.
telling me this is the cleaned up version.
You're probably not
Yeah.
doing anything. Right?
Do you
Let's
think?
just have a look at let's look at some of this. This
you
is
think-
something that Nick Rekieta, just so the audience is aware, Nick Rekieta released this photograph himself.
He did.
This is what he's admitting that his children live in. Okay? This is what he's comfortable
Sad.
showing people. You can see the entire couch is just covered in clothes. It's like absolutely layered with clothes. The countertop, just all sorts of cookware assorted all over the place.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
I like to point out,
Imagine the roaches.
you have the paper towel next to the paper towel rack.
Yeah.
It's not like
It's
how
not
hard
lazy.
is it?
Bottle on the bottom right. Look at that. It's just like empty, just whatever. I think I have a theory. I think he showed this so it would show, yes, my house was a mess, but not as bad as what you were reading in the report. I think it was just like a lesser
What?
crime. Like
It's just
admitting
as
to a
bad
lesser
to me.
crime, basically.
It was to discredit us.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
Yes.
what.
And the living room here, I want to ask you too.
That's a complete
That like
disaster.
basket that's by the fireplace. All those clothes there. Was that all there too? Do you remember?
That's not laundry day either, dude.
I
That's
don't.
just
People are pointing out all of the knives are missing from the knife block.
Except for
Or-
one.
Who doesn't return the knives to the knife block?
where they all go.
Like what is going on? And these aren't like college kids in a dorm for the first time.
but one
These
kid.
aren't, people in their early 20s or these are people in their 40s
Mhm.
that are living like this. It's like a perpetual adolescence. It's like some Peter Pan syndrome.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
That would
I'm reading the
grind my
messages
gears,
from the other
man.
lady. She said,
That would
yeah, there
piss
was
me off.
for sure more
I
shit
saw
in the
that.
living room. I think that's a cleanup after CPS game.
Okay.
That's the cleanup for CPS.
After.
Hey, don't worry. You guys can return the kids to us. Look how clean it is. Oh my God.
That's
What a
wild.
disaster.
Man,
Okay, so
I
let's
would
have
get
a look
CPS
at this
cases-
next photograph. Would you say that this was on the
I'll
day of the
finish that
body
later.
cam raid or not?
100% sure that is not from that day.
That's not how the kitchen looked on the day of the police raid.
No, and it was darker in there. It was like early in the morning and a little overcast.
Yeah.
I think it was not that sunny.
And I want to ask, what one thing that was a common, consistent observation by everybody who I read a transcript of was that there were bottles on the windowsill and that there was like blinds and it was dark and stuff like that. But here we see a lot of natural light coming in and no bottles on the windowsills anywhere. So I found that interesting.
I don't know if that was the room that had them in the windowsill. I think a lot of the other rooms did.
Oh, another detail that's important is the skeleton in the back.
Is that what that is?
How would you have known about this
What?
skeleton
What?
to write it in your notes
Oh yeah.
if you hadn't seen the body cam?
Well, he confirmed by saying he did say to the Officer Pumplin, "I hope you get gonorrhea and die." So he confirmed that we saw
Yes.
it.
He confirmed
I didn't even
all
notice there was a
sorts of
skeleton back there.
markers, making your guys' testimony more credible. And
Bottles
then
of
he
oil?
produces these
No,
random
it's bottles of
photographs
liquor, I think.
that could
I'd
have
imagine.
been taken on any day and tries to say that it debunks it. That's
And-
crazy.
He thought we weren't going to say anything. I don't know what he thought.
That's what I don't understand. He just keeps making it worse and worse. Okay, next photograph.
Oh, and also, by the way, so the Kiwi farmers looked at these photos and said that the location
The
and
position
the sun,
of the sun didn't line up on the particular day.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and that's
absolutely.
obviously a pan shot from this. So he went from here
Yes.
to the pan to the right.
Right.
Of that. So,
Yeah. And these are supposedly taken by the police.
No,
is
these
what
were
he
not
claims.
taken by the
do you
police.
believe that?
Okay.
No.
They might have been, or a CPS worker or something.
Okay.
What about this? Is this what the office looked like on the day of the body cam?
Not even close.
Really?
He did-
Yeah.
What
Anthony
was,
B.
what was different?
That's funny, dude.
His desk was back this way more. In the doorway, it was more visible in the doorway. There was less space between the wall and the chair and the desk.
He has
Now-
a better chair than I do.
And the floor was covered
In what?
in
Just
junk,
to-
in bottles
junks.
and junk.
Now, going back to, I know it's hard to remember without the visual aid, but going back to our clutter guide, what would you have rated his office on that scale from 1 to 9?
I don't really
Probably
get a
a
good view of
5
his
or
office.
6. 5
So-
at least.
So it was one of the worst rooms in the house, you're saying?
Oh, wow.
Well, there was a couple rooms that were just jam packed full of stuff, hoarded.
Really?
Wow.
Don't care.
Which rooms would you say is the worst? What would you say the worst is?
Well,
Yeah.
there was a room off to the right on the hallway. I heard I think it was Aaron it was Aaron this morning said on his show that that room was used for schooling stuff or something. It just was so jam packed full of stuff.
Not a lot of schooling
Like
going
an
on then.
extra closet or something is what it turned into.
What now? Were you the one who wrote down, because this really stuck out to me, that he had piles of pencil shavings all over
Yeah.
the office?
Well, no, one
Pencil
officer
shavings.
saying something to the other, and they said something like, "There's just so much stuff," and he's like, "Yeah, I found like a collection of pencil shavings or a pile of pencil shavings."
What?
That effect.
That's some
Interesting.
strange stuff.
Oh,
That's some strange stuff.
also, you were saying, I believe it was you or someone else who said, "Well, this room was disgusting and terrible, except for what we see on camera. Almost like it was staged and the hoarder was like the room was around the background, right?"
Yeah, and it looked. It looked so small. There was just so much stuff. The stuff in front of the desk, the other angle. I think he shows another angle coming up of the office. Is there one where you can see the shelves in there?
Let's go to the next image.
Yeah, hopefully I can see more.
Yep. Okay.
These are pretty much just repeat.
And they took the dog out partway through the search
Wait,
out
wait.
of there. So I would think that the dog
it
wouldn't have
skipped
been
ahead.
in there when they took pictures.
It
Kit
was
messed
to
me
the
up a
knife
bit.
block.
Well, there was a room off to the right
It's
being maneuvered.
oh, there we go. There we go.
And you could see I was wrong about the monitors. I didn't.
Yes.
Those panel lights weren't on, and
He
so
has
they
toilet
looked like
paper on his
monitors when they
desk.
weren't on.
Why does he have
But
toilet paper
he
on
did
his desk?
It did say the screen looks the same. It did say like in stream, just like that one or whatever that it had a square up like that on the screen.
Okay.
But yeah, those lights I thought were monitors
Okay.
when they were.
Yeah. And I
were-
pointed out when I read through that there was a discrepancy where one of you said there was 4 monitors, one of you said there was 5. But if that's what's inaccurate,
Right.
that's not really what the matter at hand is about. It's about the living conditions that the kids were subjected to.
I guess Ricada has to wipe his ass
just how
at his desk.
depraved and how filthy it truly was.
Gooning?
So it was much dirtier than this. Just totally piled up with trash and liquor bottles and stuff like that. So
I usually use paper
certainly
towels.
Wasn't
Downy.
The day of the police
I have
raid.
to use Downy, dude.
I'm positive it wasn't.
I'll go through anything else.
Next image. So all these images of the officer bullshit. Okay, this room.
To blow his nose.
Is this how you remember it looking on the body cam?
Door-looking room.
The
Yeah.
Goodwill room.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you go to the next one of this room?
Yes.
Next one, sure.
Yeah.
What is
Okay,
this?
so this is the angle I saw
Looks like a store.
best on this room. And so they have those garment bags. They were hanging there.
Stuff.
And then to the left of the garment bags was a lot of adult clothes hanging to the up there high left of that garment bag.
Right here.
Yeah, the racks
What
that
kind
are
of
down
setup
lower,
is this? It's like we just
were
walked
in
into a
different
store.
positions with less clothes on them. So I'm 100% sure that is not.
I'm starting
Like a
starting
Goodwill.
to get the vibe that these photographs were taken by
I know, right?
CPS.
It's like we walked into a Goodwill,
weeks
some sort
after
of
the
a
fact.
thrift store.
Is the vibe I'm starting to get. I don't know if you think the same, but that's what I'm starting to think.
That's 100% what I think.
All right, let's go to the next one here.
Dumpster fire
This
there.
is the living room?
On the right side, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's stairs outside of the library and his studio.
Okay.
And yeah, and that's what you walk down into when you go down the stairs in the
Get
basement.
that, man.
Same day or no? What do you think?
Oh no.
Really? It's worse than this? I thought this was one of the real photos, to be honest. Go ahead.
No. But I don't remember it being like that. When you get to the other photos from this room,
Sure.
I can be more specific about what's different. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
To the very left at where the
What are all those
three stairs
cushions
are,
for?
That's where a love seat was turned up. I think it's this love seat we see here in the right-hand corner. That was turned up, leaning on at the bottom of those stairs.
Like
against,
like flipped over? Would you say it's like sort of like leaning on the wall or something?
They just flipped over the love seat, huh?
what the xylophone is.
Hey, there's a
where
cat there in that photo.
Upside down, leaning on the wall.
Okay.
And
I'll see the cat.
all those stackable pad things, those were not there. They might have been there, but over to the side.
Okay.
Was there
This is weird.
clothing on the floor?
Weird stuff.
So far, just for those of us who are keeping score at home, 0 of the photographs match up so far with what you saw on the body cam.
Right.
Okay. Amazing.
Oh, was there
Amazing.
clothing on the floor, like junk on the floor too? Was it just like trashed up?
Yes. It was.
Was there a gas leak in the
I
house?
can only imagine how it looked. Okay.
I mean,
Another
it
angle
looks like it,
here.
right?
Yeah, a lot of things are moved around. So that
Hey, there's even a
back
drum
in that
kit.
back far corner.
Didn't even notice the
that
drum
looks
kit
kinda
there.
Similar. But to the left of that was not there. I forget what exactly was there. But the drum was when you go to the next picture, I think.
Okay.
Oh no.
Oh, that's
Okay.
a different one. Let's see if it was this one. No.
Yes, there isn't another one. Okay, so yeah, to the left, you can go back one more.
Yeah.
So to the left of what's shown, there's a piano over there.
Is that
Thought
what
he
that
showed
is?
it on the stream last night. Maybe not. A piano over there.
Okay,
and,
yeah.
Oh, I think you could see it at the bottom of the stairs one.
Okay.
The
So
piano.
on this one,
What you're
right
saying-
over.
What you're saying is the positioning of everything is totally wrong as to what you saw on the body cam. Would you describe the room to be in a similar state of cleanliness,
Huh.
though? Or was it worse? Was it better than this?
There was more clothes and stuff around. This looks more just like the furniture is more disorganized than it was. Besides that upturned couch.
Okay.
Right.
So it sounds
So
like
it
Ricetta's
is- it's
been
a
lying
mix. It's-
still.
In some ways, it's better. In some ways, it's worse.
Okay. Fair enough.
Now, this is
Okay.
what I think might actually be a little bit dirtier.
Wow.
What?
Okay, so this area of the house then was probably one of the cleaner areas during the body cam, you're saying. And you're saying that this isn't from the body cam because it's filthier. Okay.
What?
Yeah, I remember when they were walking through, I was like, okay, this area doesn't look too bad.
Why are there just clothes
It's,
everywhere?
Compared to the rest of the house.
What's that blue
So-
thing that's hanging over
Well,
the
interesting enough, that's where he films at night.
chair?
He'll do his like kitchen streams from that kitchen, right? Is it this kitchen?
Is it? I don't.
Yeah,
looks kinda
I-
like the
you think
kitchen.
this is the same kitchen he films himself when he's filming the sing.
I don't think so. I think that's the one upstairs he films himself in. But I think this is a part of the house where basically nobody ever goes. And that's why it's so much cleaner than the rest of the house. That's my theory, but
All right.
The lake-
You call that clean?
So weird. There's so many doorways, and it's like a maze of doorways and little rooms, and it's weird. So yeah, this is their Lego room, and I did.
Man,
pay
these
attention.
kids
They
got
had
a
lot of
Lego room?
Legos, but I think there was like a Ferris wheel where that on the top shelf, right in that area, and then these things that are
Look at those
these
doors,
racks,
man.
Those weren't there,
The house
and there was
itself
other junk there.
looks.
Okay.
okay. So
mean-
again, this is not from the same
The house
day.
itself looks
This
nice.
is his library room.
Everything in it is. Wow.
Yeah, that's right outside his studio. That's so that area where all the drums and stuff is, you walk past it and you go over into that
Amaranth's house.
library area.
Oh, I haven't even seen that.
And then walk past it, and that's his studio. And this,
I bet that was messy.
I don't remember all the stuff on the floor.
Wait, you mean like
was
you
there
give
was there
Ricetta's a
less
5?
things?
Oh, an 8 on
was
the
this
hoarder
cleaner
scale?
on the
Okay,
body cam
yeah.
footage, or was it more cluttered?
Like I said, on the body cam, you don't see the floor a whole lot unless they're looking down or from a distance is the only time you see the floor. This one there, I don't remember exactly. I remember seeing the shelves, and
Fair
they
enough.
look-
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think when they're doing drugs, they're
I know
doing
it's a
spending
lot,
much time
right?
in
It's a
the,
lot to remember, but
book room.
Well, and I just want to point out, I think it really does speak to your integrity and to your credibility that when you don't remember, you're not just making bullshit up
Mhm.
or saying
Amaranth
things
is hoarding
to
animals
make him look
and
bad
driving her husband
or
insane,
to
huh?
shit on him. It seems to me you're giving a very objective account to the best of your recollection of this. And I think
Yeah,
that's very important.
Thank you.
yeah, definitely. Is this the sun room? I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, and I don't remember seeing that room at all.
Okay, that's where April said she stayed. For reference, there's a bathroom.
The bathroom.
And so it's interesting. You
looks
said the
clean.
bathrooms were like the cleanest part of the house.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that what it would have looked like on the day of the body cam footage?
Now this room was not filthy. There wasn't a lot of stuff in it, like the other rooms, but there was more than this. I mean, it was dirtier than this, but it was.
Right.
Okay.
So far, none of
Hmm.
the images you would say are from that day.
No.
That's
none.
what's
So
saying
it
there.
doesn't appear like he really even weaved in any photographs that were
The ne-
actually from the day. Maybe the drug scale you're saying, yeah.
The next photo. Yep.
Yeah, the next photograph.
All right, there we go.
So
Yeah.
this is the first photograph that you can pretty much conclusively say was taken on the
The-
day of, because who
you-
else would be able to take this
You have
photograph
all that stuff there.
other
those
than
baggies.
the police, right?
Right. Yeah,
And
that-
this, so which bathroom was this?
That's in the hallway near their room, on the way to the kitchen and living room.
Yeah, it was.
Would you say the kids would have access to this bathroom?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely,
But the drugs
they
were not
would.
found in that bathroom.
Okay.
They're just laying it out for a photo. But look at this, folks. We look at the baggie here. All the people who wrote about this said about the bag with a KKK written on it, and there it is.
And there it is. And that's a detail that would be impossible to make up, in my opinion. So this goes to show you guys did actually see the footage, and it adds a lot more credibility to the testimony.
Definitely. There it is.
There's the scale.
The weigh-in.
A little bag on it.
Okay, yeah, this.
Is that the safe?
I'm assuming this was fine, or you didn't see this, right? Like,
That's the master bathroom, and Officer Pomplin never walked in there. He did glance in there.
Yeah, they have a lot of bathrooms. No.
And that's the bathroom the dog lives
in. Dude,
in.
it's a big house.
So I didn't
they
get
have a lot of
inside
rooms.
glimpse of this bathroom.
And they are rich.
For those of you for those people out there who don't know, explain what you just said. The bathroom the dog lives in?
Right. Yeah, there's a baby gate up, and the dog lives in that bathroom.
So the Ricada family has a pug, a tiny dog.
Oh.
Sunny.
And Sunny. And Sunny, pretty much 24/7, 365, is forced to live in this tiny bathroom.
That's a weird way
we're
of
going to see evidence
training.
Because they don't even take the dog out to the bathroom.
Yeah.
They don't even take him out to the yard. The dog does his business on the floor of the bathroom. Pees and poos on the floor of the bathroom.
That's disgusting.
We
I
can
don't
see it right there. So if we scroll over to the
Oh,
left,
there's a dog
we
bowl.
can see dog shit
Oh, you
on
can.
the floor of the bathroom.
Oh, and that's a special
which
mat
is
too.
disgusting.
That's a potty mat.
I don't know of anybody outside of actual drug addict bums who live like that. And I guess it's fitting because they were drug addict bums. Do you have any thoughts? Is this how the bathroom looked to you on the body cam? Or seems like it's been cleaned up or what?
Like I said, he only glanced in there.
Just for Sunny,
I think the other cam view, I think they went in there, but I didn't get that far in that video. But I don't remember a pad being on the ground from the view I saw when he did look in there.
Did you see this guy? Did you see this?
The pad was added for sanitation reasons.
Hey, there's the cop there.
Is that
Yeah. That's what those pads are.
I cannot. I didn't actually look at these pictures as close as I should have.
Did you see on the body cam though an officer like that who was bald?
That's like every cop I've ever seen.
Potentially darker Caucasian, potentially Hispanic. It's kind of hard to tell.
Possibly a small beard. Possibly.
I don't think I saw a bald officer.
Okay.
So this could have been on a later date. It's hard to tell.
I'm pretty sure it was. There. The other person said there was a lot more stuff on the counters, like products.
Okay.
Like,
and there's the poor dog, Sunny.
Right
that is
there. The
confined
dog's
to
on the
this
photo.
bathroom
We see him
all day and all night, while these degenerates are swinging over in the other room and doing drugs. By the way, notice this. Scroll down. Did you see the dog door they have?
Yeah.
That's a Bible verse about how children are a blessing from the Lord that they've then fashioned into a makeshift doggy door, which is kind of disrespectful to the premise there.
They're from the Lord. I see something from the Lord. So they put this piece of wood that you hang on the wall, like probably, as the blockage for the dog to not leave. That's
wait. So that proves it was a different day because it was an actual baby gate.
Oh, okay.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, it froze up again. Dang it.
Provided parents.
Back up.
They say that
Back up.
moms, it made the parents again coming.
This is a like someone saying that there's poop on the floor there. Yep. Okay.
These are pretty much just repeat.
And they took the dog out partway through the search out of there. So I would think that The dog wouldn't have been.
Oh
in
yeah, his
there
name is Sunny.
when
They've
they
been saying
took
Sunny.
pictures.
So these are, I think this is what Ricada claimed the spent casings the officers found was this sculpture
No
or whatever.
way. No.
Is that the case?
No.
I did not see a close up of the casings. I
Okay.
talking about them, but I didn't see them.
Okay. Look, if cops are gonna write casings on a report, this is
Man,
not even.
if that's what it was, the cops probably wouldn't even notice that.
Come on, like the cop just went. He looked, saw that and went, casing. When they're like searching the house thoroughly with gloves on, come on. So
they're not looking for art projects. They're looking for casings.
I believe that's
you know?
all of the photos of the house that I saw. Maybe there are a few that I did miss, but I think that is the extent of it. Is there anything else that you want to say about what you saw on the body cam, or any misconceptions that might have been out there, or things you want to clarify, Momma K?
Let's see. I have some notes I'm going to go through. I don't know that any of them are regarding the.
I'm going to ask you something. Why do you think Nick withheld pictures of the bedrooms, specifically the master bedroom? We have no photos whatsoever of what the master bedroom was like.
He probably has baldos everywhere.
Because it was a hoarded mess.
Okay. It was a hoarded mess. What did the master bedroom look like? Because that was the scene of a lot of the activity. What would you say it was on the scale again?
A 5.
A 5.
Yeah, and I went to their actual real estate listings to look at the house after I saw it. And a lot of the rooms I don't even recognize. And I cannot believe how big that room actually is. Because it seemed so much smaller, because there's just such a small walkway around the bed and at the end of the bed and on the sides. And there was, in that windowsill there was bottles, and it was just a ton of stuff in their closets.
Wow.
It was just jam-packed full of stuff.
Nick didn't take any pictures, or show any pictures rather, of the front door. Did you notice any damage to it at all? Like, was it like completely taken off the hinges, or?
No, I think it just busted right at the lock area. I don't think it did much damage.
Okay.
So if you want to take a second there to take a look at your notes and compose yourself and make sure you get in everything that you want to get in, I'm going to have a quick look at some questions that may have come in from our audience. Okay. Let me see here. Sneedberg Stein Goldman asked for 20. Does Nick give off the ick? I'm not sure if you know that hip phrase the youngsters say, the ick. But did you get the ick?
I think she's
going to
say yes.
Of course, yes, definitely.
Okay.
Everybody I've talked to that have gone to the different hearings, and they've all said they've all felt either dark energy, giving them weird feelings. Like, everybody has said it. So.
And then we do have just a fun question from Sneedberg.
Oh, yeah, McKinsey. Well, I mean, if you're doing drugs, it doesn't really matter, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, little Garfield cat, big Garfield cat. Yeah. And it made 3 appearances. Now, in the beginning, when it came, I think from up the stairs when they first came in, and when they were getting the kids outside, she picked it up. But then later, when they were going downstairs, and they were downstairs in that area where like the arcade stuff is and the drums, it made an appearance again coming down the stairs. And then there was a third time. It made 3 appearances in the video. Very cute.
Nice.
I heard the kids talking. So the third time, an officer was going in and out, and he asked the kids, "Is the cat allowed out?" And they said yes. And I overheard the conversation where they said they have 4, or they have 3 cats, but they used to have 4 and 1 died.
Oh.
And
okay.
Like in the house.
I don't know where the other 3 cats were.
All right. Anything
All
else?
right, let's no, that's all that we have actually from the audience.
Thank you.
Remember, guys, if you do want to submit a question, down below in the chat, you can click on Dono Chat. You can send in a question.
Yeah, Momma K's been objective.
$4 if you want a question answered.
Kind.
At this point.
I think she just wants to be fair.
Do you have anything there in your notes that you want to bring up?
Not concerning the the body cam footage. If you want to discuss other things, I do have.
Absolutely. Go
Yeah.
go on and tell us everything that you want. This is your platform to
Like
speak
PPP
whatever
and
you
Andy
need
would
to.
do like hyperbole.
So he's.
Momma K
I think
not.
it was in his rant against me or somewhere recently. He said something about that I told him about being molested or abused.
Right.
That didn't happen. Now, in that conversation we did have at the courthouse, there was a point I said, I told him that as a kid, every wish I ever made, whether it was on a blowing out my birthday candles on a star, or blowing a dandelion, every wish I ever made was to have my family be happy and healthy, and my mom to be sober, my parents to be sober. And I said, it breaks my heart to think that your kids may do the same. And
how does it feel to have that used as a cudgel against you?
Oh.
It just goes to show who he is as a person. I mean, and then, but to try to say I opened up to him and shared specific stories like that, like.
But even if you did, doesn't it show his character that he would use that as a negative against you?
Absolutely.
That's like something the
Instead of
Thorpes
it
would
being
do.
obvious that that's something that motivates you to do what's right, he's then trying to turn that and twist that into something where it's making you do wrong and making you tell lies.
Right. And yeah, and he sees it as a negative. And the way he says, you know, people cannot care about his kids. You can't care about kids that you don't know. I think that's
not even true.
To him. He can't. But most people can. Most people have empathy, and it's up to the community to, you know, when kids
people
are
care
falling
about
through
other
the
people's
cracks,
kids.
it's up to individuals to stand up and say, this is not right. Somebody needs to do right by these kids.
Yeah,
it's true.
Well, also, do you think, like, I mean, his job has been to examine other people's lives through cases, right? So I really don't see why he'd be surprised as a public figure to be like, why are people interested? And obviously, when you watch the video, when we hear these stories, it actually affects us when we're like, no, we will point and call it out, right? I mean, that's why you're here, right? You told me, you were like, no, he can't get away with this because he's trying to, like, you know, muddy the waters.
He's trying to lie about it, yeah.
Truth, and we appreciate you actually coming out, and that's why we care, right?
No.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have anything else in your notes that you want to bring up and discuss?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that they say that how would they have their kids back if there was obvious abuse or whatever. I'm gonna pull up
CPS.
now this is kind of long,
mistakes.
and there's actually facts and statistics. I won't go over all of it and bore your audience.
No, I mean,
And
go into detail because
CPS
I think this
doesn't
is
have a
really
choice.
important because Ricada tries to make the claim because his kids were returned to him and because they were returned to him, I think, what was it, within 200 days or something like this, he tries to say, well, that proves that, you know, my daughter obviously didn't test positive for cocaine. Why would they return them to me if that was the case? Blah, blah, blah. But you're saying, you know, you can contradict that narrative of his.
Yes.
Okay.
Minnesota is known as one of the worst states as far as this goes. So I'm going to read the notes I have on it. Hundreds of children in Minnesota are harmed annually when returned to homes where the initial issues leading to their removal, like abuse or neglect, remain unresolved. From 2012 to 2022, 86 children died from maltreatment and 11 others committed suicide following child protection cases. This highlights systematic failures in ensuring safe environments before reunification. Minnesota screens only about 31% of reports. They only screen 31% of the reports that come in of neglect and abuse. That's crazy. The average is 50%. This low screening rate often delays interventions, leaving children in risky situations. A big problem is a decentralized system across Minnesota. So Minnesota has over 80 plus small little counties.
In each county, there's no oversight from the state.
Man, I still want to pause and interject, but I like to add stuff.
They each
but
have their own.
I don't want to mess up the kick stream.
And they all vary in how they respond to them. So there's not one central, like one way they all respond. They each respond differently. So it leaves, inconsistencies.
Yeah.
So parental drug use, including cases involving substances like cocaine, often factor into child removal. However, Proving direct parental responsibility for a child's exposure can be challenging without evidence of deliberate endangerment or negligence, which may explain why criminal charges are not always pursued. So it seems like if they can't prove exactly how a child was exposed, if they can't have a specific story of how it happened, they don't bring charges.
Even if they test positive.
Even if they test positive, they need to know. Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that makes like
That's fucked.
Oh my god,
It is really
Wow.
messed
So
up.
it
It
just-
really
Not
is.
lucky with it the way they cover like this. You know, CPS covers this, right?
But how could you
It's
ever
not just
prove
CPS.
it?
It's
You know,
the
I guess the
system
child
too,
has
no.
to come forward and explain it. I suppose,
courts and
right?
You find
lawyers.
coke, they're on coke. Can't you like? It's not circumstantial at this point. It's forensic evidence. Like I don't
Right.
understand.
Well, and the child is the responsibility of the parents. If something happens to that child, it should be on the parents to take the responsibility no matter what. They are responsible and
Yeah.
negligent if something happens to them.
Well, and that's one thing I was going to ask you too, because Ricada brings up that the
Can't
nanny gave his
protect
kids
shit.
booze. She
That's
was
what
drunk on
CPS
the
stands for,
job, she gave
okay?
him energy. But ultimately, at the end of the day, are they as the parents not responsible for what happens? Because they've put the children under her care. And apparently, according to Ricada, even after he found out she was drunk as a skunk on the phone, the kids were still in the nanny's care.
Yeah, anything after that supposed happening, anything after that would 100% is on them.
It's crazy.
And he admits that they didn't fire her right away or at all. They didn't fire her.
Yes. Yeah.
So there's an issue like wealthier
That's
and more
true.
privileged
If you have a good
families often
lawyer,
face less scrutiny due to systematic biases. For example,
they will.
racial and economic disparities lead
They'll
to
beat the department's lawyers.
Disproportionate, yeah.
impacts of Black and Native American children in Minnesota's child protection system. Families from marginalized backgrounds are more likely to experience invasive interventions, even when circumstances are comparable to those in more affluent households. So his
Yeah,
privilege.
I mean, it's just not taken seriously because, you know, they're from a wealthy family and they're like, well, obviously this is going to be okay because they come from wealth and privilege. But from what you've seen on the body cam, it was not okay.
No.
It was not a situation fit for children.
Right.
I'm gonna pause it right now.
Yeah. So
Pause right now. So what I'm going to say pertains to Texas and the county I worked in. But in that county, the department had 2 lawyers. So that means all of the things that involve legal proceedings, which happens a lot of cases, there's 2 lawyers that would represent CPS cases. So they're swamped. They got a bunch of stuff. All right. So what tends to happen is if they're not gonna have the time or really be able to argue a certain cases if it's kind of weak, and unless it's a slam dunk, and if they're going against another lawyer that's much more competent and all that, it makes things difficult, and it is very demoralizing, and you realize you spend a lot of years there, and you realize that it becomes like rotating door of the same families doing the same thing, and it's heartbreaking, man. Anyway,
the child protection systems often prioritize family. I don't know why I can't talk all of a sudden.
It's okay.
All good.
Prioritize family reunification, believing it to be in the best interest of the child, provided parents take steps to improve their circumstances. Criminal charges are not always pursued unless there is clear evidence of intentional harm or gross negligence.
all right.
For criminal charges to be filed, prosecutors typically require concrete evidence that directly links the parent's actions to the harm. In cases of drug exposure, proving intent or recklessness can be difficult if the parent denies knowledge of the child's exposure.
Right. I mean, it was obviously reckless. There's drugs all over the house. Apparently, the pillow tested positive for cocaine. You have the scales. You have the snort tube out on the bedside table. But I guess not reckless enough to bring charges forward.
Right.
Yeah.
So what do you
Ridiculous.
need? A video of them
Do you
using
think
it?
that he has redemption from what you've seen in the future at all? Like, do you think that like, what would Nick have to do to be like, okay, he's learned his lesson and you know he's growing from this? What do you think? Or do you think this is
That'll
like
never
too far?
happen.
realistically, I mean, the way he acts and the way everything he presents that's not happening. That's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, of course, everybody could redeem themselves just with, changing their behavior and demonstrating that they have a pattern of changed behavior and that they've learned and acknowledge and take responsibility. But none of that is happening.
Yeah.
So somebody did ask Baldo's Revenge for 10. How many Baldos or adult toys were on display in the body cam footage that you saw?
I didn't directly see any, but there was
probably wasn't looking for 'em.
references to them, and I really wish I could have got to the end. Neither one of us got to the end of the second one. At the end of Pomplin's video, he went into the closet, and I think it was Officer Robbie, the other one. I think it would have been on the end of the other one had I got there or she got there. He was in the back of the closet. There was open shelves of things, and he was saying there was.
Oh, it froze again. It froze again. Aw.
Oh, by the way.
Well, and so there was I didn't agree with how the cops handled the whole situation. They could have searched a lot
It's back
more
a little
thoroughly,
bit more.
and I bet they would have found. Prosecutors typically require concrete evidence that directly links the parents' actions to the harm. In cases of Officer Robbie, the other one, I think it would have been on the end of the other one had I got there or she got there. He was in the back of the closet. There was open shelves of things, and he was saying there was a ton of edibles and he said adult stuff.
Adult stuff.
Yeah,
There we go.
The officers talked about it, but it wasn't seen on the body cam. Maybe later on the other body cam, because there's a number of different perspectives, you would have seen it, but you just didn't have enough time.
And if we had time to pause, rewind, zoom in, I'm sure something
you might have been able to
probably
see
been found. But yeah, I with all the stuff to try to see in one go, yeah, I didn't.
Now, Review Felted North Korea asks, what do you think the appropriate punishment for Ricada would have been or should be?
I think he should have had mandatory rehab, like inpatient rehab. I think that should have been.
That would have been fitting for him.
Non-negotiable.
Yeah, minimum, right? That's what I was thinking too. I'm like, you have drugs around kids and this, that, the other. Like, how is it outpatient rehab? You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's crazy.
90 days, 30 at very minimum, preferably.
And how he can't see that optically it would be a good thing to do that, even if you don't want to at least say, listen, I went to rehab, I checked myself in, I took the appropriate steps. To me, it's crazy that he didn't just go ahead and do that on his own, that he had to be forced by the court, and the court didn't even force him. To me, it's crazy.
Doesn't see it as a problem.
We got Gigi Evan for 10. He asks, what was one of the best or worst lines of dialogue that you heard when you were listening to the body cam footage?
For sure. I hope you get gonorrhea and die.
Yeah, I would say. And then we have your mom is watching for 5. Nick says the officers were horrible to him. How were they really throughout the encounter?
Very, very professional. I expected to hear more comments about the pill. I expected to hear like little snarky snide comments. There was maybe a couple minor little, like this is a lot, or like looking around and going, oh, like that kind of thing. It was
They also asked sorry.
Like we had to go through all this stuff.
No, it was minimal.
Okay. Somebody asked, was April scared? The fact Nick only asked the cops about April and not really Kayla is very telling, isn't it?
Well, and so there was I didn't agree with how the cops handled the whole situation. They could have searched a lot more thoroughly, and I bet they would have found a lot more. Also, when they were outside,
they're not going to deal with
Kayla
the
and the kids were against the wall over here, and April was sitting on something right outside the front door, and they left Nick standing right by her. And the cop that was supervising them, they were all not handcuffed. And the cop that was supervising them had his back to Nick and April. So they could have been making eye contact and trying to, I saw an actual, when Pomplin looked at, maybe it was Robbie's, one of them, they looked at them long enough to where I saw April making eyes at him, like trying to talk to him with her eyes. I was like, they're there that whole time. I bet they've been saying little things to each other or at least trying. to find an opportunity to.
Okay.
And yeah, they weren't handcuffed until later.
Okay. Well, I guess Ricada has gone live.
Yeah, I was just reading the chat
so
there.
I don't know whether he's going to go after you for what you've said on the program or what's going on. I guess he's upset. But I was going to ask you, what are your planned next steps for this? Like, you've done a lot of reporting on this. Are you planning on continuing to report on the case locally? Or do you think this is going to be kind of your last time speaking on this or reporting on this?
You know, I've really debated on making a channel myself, because watching this, I've had a lot to say, and I don't really have much of an online presence. And I don't have any communities to talk to anybody about any of this, and nobody in my family or friends is following it. So I'm like, I have things to say and nobody to talk to about it. So I've been tempted to make videos before, but my confidence is super
online
low, and coming live and stuff
well,
you
did fantastic. You did fantastic for being nervous. I would
say for your very first time, having no experience with it at all in front of an audience of 6,000 live people, you handled yourself incredibly well.
Have a lot of viewers.
Okay? And it's natural to be very nervous, and the more you do it, the less nervous you will be. Okay? So I really encourage you, you know, if you feel like you have opinions that you want to get out there, absolutely do it. But you know, with the situation with Ricada, he's a very vengeful, spiteful guy. So you got to be prepared for him. And he's also starting to get litigious. So you got to be a little bit concerned about that.
Yeah.
And if you make a channel, we'll promote it. We'll tell people where to find it. We'll watch clips if it's anything relevant to our show.
It'll be like a true crime channel. You know, she'll get into stuff.
That.
Be cool.
Yeah, he followed me. Well, one time leaving court, he was behind me at a stoplight when Kayla was driving. And I was like, I think he got my license plate number, and he might try to dox me. So being local, there is a little more worry about that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like he does, like what Ashton was saying, he is very vengeful and will tweet, but don't let his pressure scare you. Honestly, he's a bum.
I think that he has a lot bigger problems to worry about than you, to be honest. And is there anything that you want to say in conclusion, anything you want to get out there, or do you feel like you've got out there everything that you need to say?
I asked the other two women, the one that was supposed to go and the one that did go, if they had anything they wanted me to say on their behalf tonight. So I wrote down some things.
Okay, perfect.
So the one that took notes said, Nick knows the reality of what he did to his family, and he should be lucky if his kids even want to spit in his direction when they're older. He's killing himself slowly right now with drugs, just so he can get out of future consequences of his neglect. It's pussy behavior, and he's more of a coward than Ethan Ralph in that regard. And she has more respect for Ethan Ralph
about the same thing, I think.
Wow.
The other reporter, that she wasn't able to make it, she was really disappointed it got shut down before she could do her part. She said to tell the two of you, hi, she appreciates that you stuck up for the court Kiwis at Nick's hearing last August. And regarding Nick, she said, Nick with women, she said the only good women, according to Nick, are the ones who let him snort coke off their boobs.
Yeah, I'm sure that's how he views women, especially with the way that he's treated the mother of his kids. You know, it's absolutely shameful. We appreciate you coming on, Momma K. You were very brave. You were really brave coming on. You did a really good job, better than anybody could expect, considering it was your first time on the air. You had something quick you wanted to say?
Yeah. So, I did go on Will Heron's channel for interviews when I went to the hearings. His last interview with me he took it down. And there's a narrative out there that Nick made him take it down, or that he took it down. I want to clear that up. And this is, again, me being objective. It was on me. I told him to take that down.
Okay.
And I wanted to clear that up.
Okay.
I told him to take it down because it was unprofessional and a bad look. He was in Mexico getting dental surgery done, and he didn't have teeth at the time. And he was inebriated from the medication.
Oh no.
And there was like Mexican music blaring in the background. And, I thought we had like mutual respect. And I was like, I think it might be better if you just take that down. And that's fine with. And so I just want to clear that up.
Wow.
That was on me. Because a lot of people are like, Nick made him take it down, or they're giving him a hard time about that. And I just want to make sure that the truth is out there.
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
We'd be glad to have you on anytime in the future if there's anything you'd want to discuss related
Very
to this
good
or anything
interview.
else. Really appreciate your time. Oh, go ahead.
I will probably cover, if I don't know if civil cases, if you can go to the courthouse, but if I can go to the monograph case, or if any
He wants to
more
do more of
lawsuits
this
come
for
up,
sure. Yeah.
any more
You hit
court
us
ca-
up.
Let us
Definitely.
know.
That would be great.
We'll
yeah.
definitely love to have your
The
report.
woman on the ground.
All right.
Hey,
We appreciate it. We hope
Thanks.
you have a great rest of your night, okay? Take it
You
easy.
too. Thank you.
All right.
All
Thanks, Momma K. Appreciate you.
okay, man. If Momma K doesn't start her own channel, that's a mistake. She should definitely start her own channel. But if she doesn't, she could be a field reporter for the Kino Casino, and they'll probably throw her some money. Okay, that's pretty cool. That was an unexpected change of what tonight's content was going to be. The tech tone, man, it's already 10:20 over here. I'm gonna let my dog out and go to bed. Is what I'm gonna do. Okay, and letting my dog out is not code for my penis. Okay. That was not good. All right. So the Tectone stuff is gonna push that maybe tomorrow. But honestly, something else may pop off with Ricada, and then the Thorpes might do something if they haven't already. Have they streamed at all? They have not streamed. I really wonder how their court went. Okay, well. So that kind of brings us to the end here, guys. I know it was a long stream there, and I liked it. I know, Mackenzie, I think you're the only one active in the chat right now. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I think it was a pretty good stream. It was very chill. Thank you so much for the gifted memberships. You're very kind with that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will stream tomorrow night. Get Cracked to Me. How's it going? Ben went on Prawn's dating show an hour ago. That's about it. Okay. Any nuggets from there? Oh man. Yeah. Well, anyway, with that said, I'm going to wrap up here. You guys take it easy and have a good one.